We have got to talk about Amberportwood today because she has been going off on her TikTok lives and been saying some things that I personally have a lot to say about.
She's traumatized about what?
It's just weird to watch because it's always like Amber like screaming at you and like you leave. And then there was one clip where she's like yelling like, "Why is Leah crying?" when she's in like a complete opposite room, like just leaving me. And it's just weird. Like I think those ones are kind of painful to watch because like it's little me. I just think I have a lot of like issues because of Amber.
No, she's not traumatized because of me. I didn't do anything to her like that.
I'll have a playlist linked down below if you guys are interested where I have talked about Amberportwood before and some other Teen Mom cast members. And also, before we get into this video, if you guys would like to check out my shop and get yourself a pair of handmade earrings like what I'm wearing right now because I made these myself, I will have my Etsy shop linked down below. When you guys purchase something from my shop, you are helping support me in being able to create this content for you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So Amber has been being quite unhinged on her TikTok lives and getting herself into some trouble, and we're going to talk about that today. I have had a lot to say about Amberportwood in the past. These videos have really got me upset, okay? Because she is discrediting her daughter Leah's own personal traumas, and it is absolutely infuriating. So let's rewind a little bit and go back to when 16 and Pregnant and Teen Mom first aired, and we were first seeing Amber with Gary. And it wasn't even just how Amber and Gary were together, which was having horrible physical fights in front of Leah where Amber would him and stuff. Like, it was so bad that like back in the day, I remember this clear as day, that MTV actually got under fire for airing her hitting Gary, to the point where when they would re-air that episode, they would black out that scene. But going back and watching it, there was actually several scenes where she was doing that. It was a repeated behavior. And one thing about Amber is that she's a perma victim. She's constantly in a state of victimhood. And it's never what anybody else is experiencing, right? If she's a part of a situation where she's caused trauma on somebody, it's not about their trauma. They don't have trauma. It's about her trauma. And you haven't had it as bad as Amber. I'm going to show y'all some clips from this before we talk about it because it has got me so heated. Now, one thing I also want to bring up is that there were scenes of Amber with her daughter that were particularly triggering. I remember one episode where she had Leah just crying in the crib, and Amber was like passed out in her bed in the pitch black in her room and had Leah off in the room over here and was not taking care of her kid. And Gary came home and ended up, rescuing his daughter. So there was a lot of neglect there where Leah wasn't getting her needs met. Okay, so that was something that happened a lot. And the thing is that Amber's going off in this live about how Leah says she doesn't even remember these scenes, and it's actually more traumatizing for her to relive them. Not even more traumatizing because she discredited her trauma entirely and said she has no trauma, but she said that Leah's most upset that they're airing these scenes and that she's seeing them, but she doesn't remember them at all.
She doesn't remember anything, guys. She said it on the show that she didn't remember anything bad and stuff like that. And that the only time that she remembered anything was when she didn't remember anything though. She would watch like clips from online, and she said that's what she hated. So it's not trauma. She doesn't have trauma. Thank God. Guys, not everything is trauma. It's not denial. You can't call that trauma. I didn't beat her. I didn't. She's traumatized about what? Delusional. I'm delusional because I have a brain? No, she's not traumatized because of me. I didn't do anything to her like that. The yelling, yeah, that happened 3 years. Less than 3 years. And that was on and off. It's not trauma. Jesus Lord, guys, stop. It was a couple years of being gone. And then ever since then, I was on her life. What are you talking about? You guys keep forgetting I went to school for this. Y'all, just shut up and quit. Just shut up. It's ridiculous to come on here and like try to relax in between me, like, cleaning my freaking house. And you guys are talking about denial and all this shit and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to listen to this stuff. I lived the life. Jesus. Who's traumatized? Who's a victim? Who?
Amber is obviously not qualified to talk on this if she has not done her research into the fact that things that you experience as a child, even if you don't remember it, it's still going to be traumatic. And a lot of times, the most traumatizing parts, we don't remember. And actually, when you are a baby and a toddler, those are like the most important developmental years of your life. So if you're experiencing the types of parenting that she was with Amber, that is going to be something that does affect her, whether she remembers it or not. Because guess what? In the moment, she still had feelings. I'm so tired of the dehumanizing that people do when it comes to babies and toddlers. Like, they're just a baby and a toddler. They're not going to remember it. It's, it doesn't matter if they don't remember it. They're still a little person that's experiencing that in the moment. And in that moment, it is affecting them. And they're going to have trauma responses to that when they get older. It doesn't matter if they remember that it happened. Anyway, that's just one portion of this that's bothersome. Amber goes on to say that Leah doesn't have any trauma. She has no trauma. She completely discredits her trauma. And then she starts going on about how, Leah doesn't know what my childhood was like.
They're not my kids. Like, the day my son wants to tell me I'm not there for him, like, that's what my son will tell me. The day that my daughter wants to say she's pissed off at me because of my past and me being a drug addict and having mental illnesses and going to prison and things like that, then that's what the fuck she's saying right now. Like, get over it. Damn, I had a way worse life than she can imagine. I know more than half of you guys did. You can't sit there and do that with your kids. You cannot sit there and pamper to the point of you've apologized for years and the people are being pushed away from you and you're still apologizing.
This is something I've seen people like Amber do that just drives me insane. It's if somebody else has experienced something that's terrible in their life, they have to bring up, oh, but I've had it worse. Oh, but if you grew up in my house. It doesn't matter. That was your life, and that's very unfortunate that those things happened to you, but that doesn't discredit the trauma that you are now causing another person by your behaviors that you learned from your traumatic past. Amber is going to sit there and get on live and cry about the things that she experienced, which she is valid in her own feelings about the things that she's gone through. She's valid in that to feel how she feels about it. But if she's going to get on there and cry about it and express her feelings about what she went through, how dare her then get on there and say, I have not caused trauma in my daughter's life because she didn't have it as bad as me, or because she doesn't remember how horrible I was. Girl, you're sitting there trying to tell everybody that you're nothing like the way that you used to be. Meanwhile, you are behaving the exact same way in a life where you're completely unhinged and have zero control over your emotions.
You're gonna stand with Gary, then stand with them and burn in hell with them. Jeez. This is what I'm talking about. You get told something and you're gross. God, Lord, help you. How could you not see through that? Yeah, did we watch the same show? No, you didn't watch my life. You watched any time that they got me riled up or got me in a situation. Because how easy is it for somebody with bipolar, borderline, PTSD, panic disorder, all this shit to get riled up and angry? I wonder. Victim, victim, victim. So stop. I already did. So what? Don't laud me. Get off.
Strong enough. Why dare you guys say these things about me? Why do you say these things like I act like a victim? I am a boss with my friends. I'm the one where they come to. This is absolutely up. The way you think of me is not right. It's not me. You have to stop. You are not right for doing this. If you want to laugh, go off. I don't care if I get kicked off of... Look, we've got 12,000 people watching because I'm crying. But why do I have to get on here after all of these years of being on television and say facts? Facts.
Get it? Sometimes somebody's mental health can cause them to act this way and behave this way. And, if they're on live, we're going to see it unfold. And I understand that people, sometimes struggle with their mental health in this way. But You cannot then say that you're not affecting other people, let alone your own child, by your behaviors, especially when somebody's going to get up there and they're going to admit to having the issues that they have and the struggles that they have, but then turn around and say, but it's not affecting anybody else. It's all about me. It's all about me and how I'm affected. It's like this complete selfishness that just gets under my skin. Nobody, I don't know who needs to hear this, okay, but we're going to have a little chit chat for a minute. Nobody is perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. We all make mistakes. We all wish that we could be better than we were yesterday. Everybody messes up. Everybody has bad days. But if you are the type of person who lacks a complete inability to recognize where you could become better, for example, Amber, who can't even conceptualize that she has traumatized her daughter, if she is unable to realize that her daughter has her own traumas and her own feelings with that, these are the types of people who are never going to change, because the only way that you're going to be better is by acknowledging where you could be better. And if somebody like her is going to get on live and be like, my shit don't stink, I've gone through the worst, and at least she didn't go through anything like me. Like, she even said at one point, she's like, at least I didn't beat her, or I didn't beat her, or something like that, as if that's the worst thing she could do to this poor little girl. Leah is being completely invalidated in her feelings, and then Amber expects her to want her in her life. Amber then expects her that, you know, because she said in an episode of Teen Mom that she wants Christy, who is Gary's wife, to adopt her. And Amber's all pissed about that. But it's like, you're getting on a live and you're talking about her and invalidating her, and then expecting that she's gonna one day want you in her life. Like, you have to take some accountability. But someone like her, this is what I was getting at. Somebody like her, because she lacks an inability to see where she's gone wrong and where she could be better, she's never gonna change. We're never gonna be shocked when she's on live being like, oh, I had it worse than anybody. We're never gonna be shocked by it, because people like that, they don't change. Just because she went to prison for behaviors in the past doesn't mean that she's not making mistakes today. I understand that sometimes somebody's mental health can cause them to behave this way, but you have to take steps to get better, and also acknowledge that sometimes your behavioral struggles are going to affect the people around you. And maybe, you know, her child doesn't want to be around her because of that. She needs to accept it. And it is a hard reality, and it is going to suck. And I know that it's got to be painful in its own way for her, but she, you know, caused this on her own by being the way that she was. Like, it should be very telling to someone that if your child grows up and they're 16 years old, a 16-year-old teenage girl, she doesn't want her own mom in her life and making those memories with her and doing those special teenage daughter things with her. She doesn't want that with her own mom. The mom is the problem.
What are you talking about, Ashley McClenny? 4 months no contact with your daughter is crazy. I didn't go 4 months no contact with my daughter. You guys are keep on being told that I'm going no contact with my daughter, like I'm doing that. No, I was told to stay away. Like, not to stay away, but like all that stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. I would never do that, actually. Like, I want to have my daughter with me. I would love to have my daughter with me. I would love to do mom and daughter things. It's up to her that she doesn't want to be around me at the moment while she's doing therapy. I understand. But, you know.
Like, I've seen this time and time again where a parent completely abandons their child. Kevin Frankie did it, which we've been talking about on this channel. We've seen it with Janelle Evans even did it. We've seen it with these moms, or these dads even, who abandon their children. They leave them. They completely leave them and go and start their own lives with other people, and then get upset that their kids don't want to be around them. I don't know if these people are they just black out and disassociate from how horrible they've been as parents because it's just too much. I don't know, but it's like something I've seen in numerous people where, like, there's just no accountability. And it's like, guess who gets to deal with the effects of this? The developing child that has been abandoned by their parent. They're the ones that get to deal with it. And yeah, Amber has abandoned Leah. We've seen it on numerous occasions. Just because she wants to get up there now and say, I'm here and she doesn't want to be around me, that doesn't make a difference. I mean, she doesn't want to be around you for a good reason, because you're a ticking time bomb. It's like, God forbid anybody disagree with you or say anything that upsets you. Like, you act completely unhinged. Like, Leah's not going to feel safe around her. And I mean, Christy, she has a really good vibe about her, and you can tell she's a good mom. She took Leah under her wing and raised her from kindergarten on, and she's been a mother to her. Okay, Amber hasn't. I'm not saying that like it can't get better in the future, but if Amber is gonna get on there and throw these fits on live and cry and act unhinged and stuff like this in front of all these people and talk about Leah and invalidate her in this way, I do not foresee them ever having a relationship. And I am glad that Leah has somebody in her life that's a good example and that can be a mother figure to her, and honestly is probably gonna help her have a good future, having that example, because Amber has not been an example. And I'm not saying that Amber can't change. I'm not saying that anybody can change, and I don't want to act like people can't change, but something that I've noticed is that when we get to like my age, like we're in our 30s now, that's kind of just how people are, especially if there's someone who lacks an inability to recognize who they are as a person and where they could be better. We could all be better. We could all be better, and we should be rooting each other on to the path of becoming better. But I mean, this is just not looking good. I don't know. I feel like she still has a lot of learning to do. I really feel for Leah, but I feel like Leah comes off like she has a really good head on her shoulders. I think that Gary and Christy have raised her well, and she seems very intelligent, and I think that she's going to have more of a chance than, you know, some other kids that I've seen in these types of situations, like on Teen Mom specifically. I'm not going to like name anybody, but there's some where I'm like concerned for those children as they get older because of the way their parents are. So I think that Leah has a fighting chance because of the examples that she's had in her life, but not every, you know, child has that. And it's really, really sad. But I mean, honestly, Amber, like if you want people to feel like you're doing better, getting on your live and yelling at people and crying, it's not gonna do that. Like telling people like my daughter isn't traumatized because of me and I had it so much worse than she ever did. Like, how dare you invalidate her trauma and not having her mom have stability in her life from her mom? Like, how dare you? How dare you? The least that you could do for her at this point is acknowledge and validate her in her feelings. She said in this live, she said, you know, I don't care what any of y'all have to say about me, which is great, don't. But then she goes on to say that I only care about what my daughter and son have to say. But you don't, because Leah has said how she feels, and you continue to ignore it because of a complete delusion. Like, you can't even talk sense into people like this. Like, you can't even talk sense into them. They are just the way that they are. I mean, when I was younger, seeing, you know, how all of the teen moms that have struggled have like grown throughout the years, I definitely had a lot of hope in them that they would get on their feet and make positive changes. Some of them have, some of them haven't. And Amber's one of those where it's like seeing her on TikTok live like this, it's like flashbacks to her when she was a teenager. It's like, what's changed? Except you got older. What's the difference? I mean, she came at her ex with a friggin' machete. Okay. Nobody got trauma because of me. She doesn't want to be around me. God, I wonder why she doesn't want to be around you. Dang. Like, if you literally can't fight somebody with intelligence, which is communication, it's talking, it's being able to have arguments that are healthy. If you can't do that, and you have to go and grab a machete to take care of your business, you're not the smartest cookie in the cookie jar. And then you can't go on and judge people for not wanting you in their life. Even if it's your daughter. You can't judge her, okay? You can't. Shout out to Gary and Christy for doing everything for Leah and protecting her. Amber, I don't know what to say, honey. Good luck. I don't know, y'all. If you guys would like to check out my handmade jewelry, when you purchase something from my shop, you are helping support me in creating this content for you. I appreciate you guys so much for doing that. Also, if you guys would like to follow my TikTok, I post really cringy TikToks, and I haven't done jewelry in a while over there. Gosh, I don't know what it is about me. Like, I get like a hobby and I hyper fixate on that hobby for like a couple weeks to a month, and I get bored of it, move on to a different hobby, and then eventually I make my rounds back to that one once I get through all my hobbies. And so right now I've been off the hobby of digging through jewelry jars, but I do plan on doing that again. I have a bunch to go through still. So if you guys would like to follow me over on my TikTok, I will have that link down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see y'all soon for another video.